Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the MG EV Community Podcast, streaming live on Friday. Yes, Friday, the 19th of August, 2022. We discuss all MG electric vehicles and hoping to inform and to entertain you for about an hour or so. I'm Barry Hager, Barry H on the forum, and joining us this week is from Norway, Patrick, who is, your forum name is?
Tech and Wheels with Pat.
Thank you. And of course, we have with us the important man of the evening, Miles from the Chorley Group, MG. Miles.
Hi, everyone. Miles Roberts, CG on the forum.
Thank you, Miles. And if you're watching, thank you for watching live. Thank you for joining us. And please click the like button below the picture there and join in the discussion in the chat window. If you're watching later, thank you for choosing to watch this video, and please subscribe to get notifications when we go live next time. Tonight's podcasts, we are discussing one big topic, the MG4 news following the press conference earlier in the day. And of course, Miles was there, weren't you, Miles?
Well, so actually, this is the embargo for the press conference. So the press conference was held actually a couple of weeks ago for dealers, and we were given the opportunity to see the MG4 up close. And I took a couple of photos myself. The car we got to see was they had two cars. They had the new MG5, which Pat, you're very familiar with. And we had also the MG4 Trophy Long Range to have a sit in and have a look round ourselves. And it was Camden Gray, which is the colour that you've got behind you there, Barry. So we had a look at the cars, and they told us some of their thoughts about the cars. And I've basically done a bit of a presentation to put forward tonight, guys, where we're going to look at basically share the information that MG shared with us. So talk through the specifications, talk about some of the differences between the vehicles, and we're going to hopefully, he says, fingers crossed, we're going to see sort of what you get for your money and discuss some of the differences in specs and answer some of the questions, because I know some people on the forums have been asking quite a lot of questions about the MG4, some more technical, some more practical. So we'll try and answer those as well. So if anyone's got any questions about the MG4, if they put them in the chat, and then if you can sort of fire them through to me, that'd be great. And I'll do my best to answer as much as I can with what I know and what I've managed to find out.
Okay. Right. So could you perhaps tell us a little bit about your first impressions of the MG4?
Certainly, yeah. So I say we saw the MG5 and the MG4. Now the MG5, it was the first time we'd seen the facelift version, and it is a marked improvement on the previous model. Patrick, you never got to see the old MG5, I don't believe.
No, I just saw a couple of videos about it.
Yeah, so the old MG5, or should we say the current model MG5 in the UK, is a similar interior to the Mark I ZS EV. Similar navigation unit based on Windows, a similar sort of feel to all of the gauges and everything. Slightly bigger screen, obviously, than the dash display than the ZS Mark I, but overall, it felt a little bit dated inside. But when you get into the new one, it blew me away, actually, to be fair, with the difference in the interior. The dashboard is so much nicer. So that was the MG5, and that was obviously very welcome to see those improvements. And the MG5 will go on sale in the UK in Right On Drive in November this year. So there are still a few of the pre-facelift long range coming into the dealerships, satisfying orders that have been placed over the last few months. Those cars, I think the last few deliveries from that should happen in September. And then we've got a couple of months wait, and then the first demonstrators and first customer vehicles will arrive in November in the UK. Now the MG4 looks completely different again. As you can see, obviously, from the picture behind you, Barry, this is a much more, I'd say, a much more Japanese sort of Honda Type R sort of design to it, or Toyota sort of design going on. The language has changed quite considerably from the original MGs, which were more like your Mazda CX-5, CX-7 sort of looking ZS. Obviously, the new ZS has got that different front bumper with the smoother front grille, and different headlights, which is more similar to what we're seeing here on the MG4. And obviously, MG5 has also had this, more modern, smoother dolphin nose sort of facelift on it.
But it's not as angular, is it? It's the
big
sort
chrome
of
grills were a big feature of the old MGs.
Yeah.
And they seem to be getting away from that, obviously, with the notion that electric cars don't need grills. So why put a big chrome grille on it? So the MG4 does look quite a lot different, which is good. I think that's, all we could possibly sort of, hope for, really, in that respect. It's moving the design language along. And this is a complete ground up new car. So one of the things that MG was keen to point out is that this has got the MSP, the Modular Scalable platform, which it's built on. So rather than the MG5 and the ZS, which are conversions in a way of an existing ICE vehicle, the MG4 is on a completely new skateboard platform, similar to how VW has launched the ID3, the ID4, etc., and ID Buzz. They're all built along the same scalable architecture. And of course, Kia's done the same sort of thing with the EV6 and the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Hyundai Ioniq 6. They're modular versions of the same. Yeah, and the Genesis. Yeah, they're all based on the same floor plan effectively, and then you can throw whatever body you want on top of it.
Yeah.
And that has a number of packaging benefits, because it means that you don't have the constraints of having to put an engine under the bonnet and an exhaust underneath the vehicle. You don't have to worry about where to put a fuel tank. You can design it as a skateboard, and that means that you can package it better. And so the MG4 is the first of these cars on this new architecture. One of the most interesting things I thought that was mentioned at the press conference at the dealer conference, by MG, was that the MG4 in sort of 4 or 5 years' time, that's going to be the oldest car in the range. There'll be about 5 new vehicles between now and 2025, all of which will use this MSP, so modular scalable platform, as a basis. So the new ZS will be replaced in a couple of years by one which is built on the MSP. The current HS PHEV will be replaced by an electric version on the MSP. The new MG3 electric vehicle, which will be smaller than the MG4, obviously, will be based on a slightly shortened version of the MSP. The Cyberster electric sports car is coming in to the UK in 2024. That will be based on the MSP. And part of the benefit of this, as well, is that this has been designed to be a 4-wheel drive system if necessary, so they can put motors front and rear. So in the initial MG4, it will be a rear-wheel drive vehicle, but they have got prototypes and vehicles running with the all-wheel drive system with a motor front and rear. The benefits of an electric car in this case is that you put 2 motors in, you basically double the power. So the all-wheel drive mules at the moment are running around 450 horsepower and are doing 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds. So there is some serious performance to come from this drivetrain. That obviously bodes well for the upcoming Cyberster sports car as well, which we've seen some teasers of in the last couple of weeks, and we will see further press activity. And I believe there's going to be a full-size clay model is going to be on display in the MG Piccadilly showroom by the end of the year.
Right. Miles, we've seen with like the delay on the MG5 facelift coming into the UK. How is the rollout of the MG4 going across the UK and Europe? And when other variants come in, was there any indication whether there would be delays to, or maybe not four-wheel drives in certain markets? Has that been mooted at all?
What we've seen, what we've been told so far, and this is part of the presentation I'll go through as well, is that we've got 1,000 cars coming to the UK that are landing within the next couple of days. They will be with the dealers within the next few weeks. They're trying to match those to initial pre-orders that have been placed by dealers. We had around 50 pre-orders that we've placed today. The order books are now open. They opened at about 1:30 today. We had all our orders on the system by 2:30, which is quite useful. So we're in the first sort of 100 orders that were placed. But we're expecting a high demand from this car. And also, just put into perspective, when I say 1,000 cars, it sounds like quite a lot, but then there's 150 dealerships now for MG in the UK. So that's like 7 per dealership. So it's, 1,000 cars isn't going to go very, very far in that sense. So that's why I think it's important that if you have spoken to a dealer about getting a pre-order in, that you speak to them even sooner this weekend, perhaps to make sure that that's been placed. And also that you make sure that once the, if the dealer is taking your money and, that they basically keep you up to date with how the order's going. Our anticipation at the moment, and again, this is going to be talked about again later in the presentation, is that there's going to be 2,000 cars this year. So by the end of 2022, we should have 2,000 cars in the UK. Now, Europe is also getting cars. I don't have the figures for Europe because I've only been to the UK dealer conference. But I know that there is a boatload of vehicles going to Europe as well. So I expect to see them in Norway very soon, Pat.
Yeah. On the forum, there was questions about the priority that orders would be slotted in based on those people that had made early reservations of their £99.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, dealers took pre-orders. The order system opened at 1:30 today. They sent us the email to let us know that had happened. We started putting our orders on the system straight away. Now, if I had 50 orders and I got all those on by 2:30, but another dealership only had 5 orders but didn't put those on until 5 p.m. because they were in meetings or whatever, they didn't see the bulletin until later. Our 50 orders are going to take precedence over theirs. However, that would be only the case if all of them were, say, for example, orange trophies. Although it does seem to be the majority of what people wanting. If you've got, obviously, there's the mix of cars coming into the UK, and I'll explain that as well in the presentation. So perhaps we just launch into the presentation.
Maybe we can do that now. Yes. Yeah.
So if, in the sense of sort of a COVID conference, if there we go, Chris Whitty. Next slide, please. There we go. So we've got so the highlight of the MG4. So initially from launch, there were 2 battery capacities available. There's the standard range, which will have 51 kilowatt hours, and a long range model with 64 kilowatt hour battery. Now, the SE is available in both standard and long range. The Trophy is only available as a long range battery choice. The the standard range battery is LFP chemistry, whereas the 64 kilowatt hour long range battery is a typical lithium ion battery. Barry, you were asking me this question, off the forum.
Yeah.
So the LEP or LFP battery, that the standard range has got, can withstand being charged to 100% regularly without any detriment, really. Whereas the 64 kilowatt hour long range battery would prefer to have a 80% level of charge on a more regular basis, and then extended to 100% if you need to do long journeys. And that's the same setup as we've got with the ZS EV, where you've got a choice of the 2 batteries, the standard range 51 and the longer range 73. In that case, the long range has got the option in the infotainment system to choose the 80% or lower battery level to charge to, but then you can extend it to 100% if you wish to. So I suppose in terms of usable range, most people aren't going to need all 281 miles of range that the long range provides on a day-to-day basis. It's probably more, I mean, I know myself, 218 miles, which is offered by the standard range, is enough to cover my needs. It's nice to have the extra range though. So I think that for most people, they'd probably get the long range, but charge it to 80%, and then they'll stick it to 100% once a month or once every few weeks when they're doing that longer journey, or to do a cell balance, which will help to condition the cells a bit better as well. Maximum power on the motor it's a rear wheel drive setup, so the rear mounted motor, 150 kilowatt power. That's about 201 horsepower in old money. Maximum torque's 250 Newton meters. And 0 to 60, it's slightly faster in the smaller battery. So this is due to how the motor can accept the volts and amps from the smaller battery. So a slightly different voltage. So the 51 kilowatt hour battery can accelerate 0 to 60 in 7.7 seconds, I think it is, and it's 7.9 for the longer range battery. The extra 30 kilos probably helping that along as well. If we can just skip to the second slide, please. If we are, does it come up? Okay. So dimensions and weights. So the length of the car, 4287. So that's 26 millimeters longer than an VW ID3. The width is 1836 millimeters. That's 26 millimeters wider than an than an ID3. So it's an inch longer and an inch wider. It's 1504 millimeters tall. That's about 2 inches lower than a ID3. So some people think the ID3 looks a little bit squashed, a little bit, yeah, a little bit sort of, like what's the term that works across Europe? I don't know, but it looks a bit like a noddy car, I suppose, in a way. And it's sort of squashed, or Playmobil. It's squashed proportions. Front, the nose is squashed in, and the roof's sort of pushed up.
Yeah, the ID4 looks better proportioned from that point of view because it's that bit wider, doesn't it?
So the ID3 is 2 inches taller, but an inch narrower, an inch short, and an inch, front to back shorter than the MG4. The MG4, it sits more squat on the ground. But internally it felt very, very good. Headroom and everything like that was absolutely fine. So considering it's lost 2 inches versus the ID3 in terms of overall height, the actual headroom inside, I could sit in the front seat. I mean, I'm not the tallest guy. I'm 5'11", 179 centimeters. And I can sit in the front seat and put like fists above my head for headroom. So I'm fine. And I think the majority of people would be absolutely fine in that car. The other thing to say, so dimensions wise, so the total curb weight, say you're looking extra 30 kilos for the long range. The towing capacity is 500 kilos as per the new MG5 facelift and also the ZS EV facelift. And it has a 50 kilo vertical load or nose weight. So if you're carrying a bike rack or whatever, that's your limit, 50 kilos on the bike rack. That's a little bit disappointing. I was hoping it would be 75 because a lot of e-bikes these days are like 20 kilos plus each. So if you've got two e-bikes plus the weight of the rack itself, you can be at above 50 kilos quite easily. But yeah, 50 kilos is the limit they've set. I don't know why. It probably comes down to spring rates and things like that. When you have a tow bar mounted bike rack, you're obviously shifting quite a lot of weight. Not only you're setting it as like a lever behind the axle, and it moves quite a lot down, so it can affect the suspension quite a lot with a bit of weight. So so we've got so that's the weights measures, and then if we look at the next page, please. Going to work. Oh no, we've gone forward about 6 there, I think. Have we not? Is that the third one? Okay, interior. So on the interior side of things, yep, third on, there we go. On the interior side of things, so we've got that big 10.25 inch touchscreen display at the top of the dashboard, very similar to the MG5 and the new ZS EV. We have got, these are the words that they're using, so modern, integrated, simple design. It is. It looks very sleek. It doesn't look oldie worldy like perhaps the old ZS Mark 1 did. We've got another 6.5 inch display just above the in front of the driver as their sort of, speedometer and everything. That's fully digital as well. There's no start stop button on this car, so it's got a feature a bit like Tesla, a bit like Polestar and Volvo and things like that. When you get into the car and you put your foot on the brake, as long as you, well, but the thing is, you basically you enter the car with the key, you close the driver's door, and then you put your foot on the brake, and that will waken the car. And then as soon as you select a gear, it's ready to drive. So if you want to leave the car switched on, you have to leave the key in the car, get out the driver's door and close it, and then it won't switch off. But if you take the key with you, as soon as you leave the car door and you close it, the car switches off. So obviously you put it in park using the center of the round rotary gear selector as you would previously in a normal previous MG, but there's no button to press. You just, you press that P button and then you get out and it turns itself off. Now that works very, very quickly. It's very similar to how you might find it. I say my wife's got it in the Volvo XC40. It's typical of Tesla as well, and it works really well. It means that you don't need to actually go through a whole boot up procedure like you did with the original ZS EV, and it helps that it's got faster processors in this car, so it works faster. Just in front of the, or behind, depending which way you look at it, the wireless charging tray. So just in front of the rotary gear selector, you've got this little tray. On the SE model, that's just a tray. On the trophy model, that's a wireless charging tray, and there is also a hole, you can quite see it on the left-hand edge there, just above the circle, where you can pass cables through, as you could on the MG, ZS, etc., to pass cables through from below. So underneath that floating sort of jutting console that comes out, there's a couple of USBs either side of a 12-volt socket under there. You can just catch those under there, and then you've got the cup holders beneath. Then you've got this sort of roller cover that covers over another storage tray in the base of the center console. So that's all very. It gives a real good feeling of space, actually, because everything's sort of cut away. In the MG5 and the MG ZS, we've often had people say, particularly of a larger frame, saying that they felt that the center console intruded quite a lot into their leg space. Well, that's not really an issue at all in the MG4 because it's all cut away. There's still plenty of storage, but you've got really not much, to get in the way of your legs. So on the Trophy, it's wireless charger. On the SE, it's just a storage tray where you can keep your mobile phone. You can pass a cable through. The other thing to say is it's got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. These are via cable, not via wireless at the moment. I don't know if there's going to be a software update that'll change that, but at the moment it's cabled only. For those
so using Android Auto, for example, you'd pass the cable through the hole, but you could still wirelessly charge with the Trophy.
I guess so, but it would physically probably charge through the cable anyway. I don't know. I think it.
I don't know if you can select one or the other, but as a.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
It's been a long week. It's been a long week. So next slide, please. So just to talk through, I think next to talk through the other way, to talk through the range. So we'll start off with the standard range SE. He says optimistically. We have the technique. Okay, no, we'll go there. We'll go there. Standard range SE, that's it. So to clarify, so this is a 51 kilowatt hour battery with 125 kilowatt motor. It does 0 to 62 in 7.7 seconds. It has a 218 mile range on WLTP. Obviously, it's a bit more it's the same size battery physically as what we're seeing in the standard range MG ZS, but with it having a slipperier design, not being an SUV, you get 218-mile range on WLTP in this versus the 197, is it, in the ZS EV standard range? This SE comes with MG Pilot as standard. It comes with LED headlights and rear lights, auto lights, rear parking sensors, not a rear camera though, just made that point. Yeah, the same across the range, they've all got the same 17-inch alloys with aero covers. It's got auto climate control, adaptive cruise control. Vehicle to load is available as an option. So the car can physically do it, but it doesn't come with the cable as standard. So in order for it to work, you need to buy the accessory cable. This is available from MG dealers. You may also find people selling cables which are compatible online. Important to note, the MG vehicle to load cable is not the same in terms of resistance as those which are sold for Kia or Hyundai. So if you have a Kia or Hyundai adapter, it will not work with the MG4 or the MG ZS EV for that matter, or the MG5.
But the MG 5 ZS and 4 all have a compatible the same.
Yes, correct. Yes, the MG cable that's sold is compatible with all the models,
Right.
but the ones that sold for other marks are not necessarily compatible with the MG.
Okay.
Okay. Back to the slide, if we may, please. Thank you. So it's a 7-inch driver display, a 10.25-inch touchscreen, Apple CarPlay Android Auto included, and it has iSmart connectivity. So it also has the ability to let you check the battery charge level, let you interrogate the car, see if there's any issues with it, set charging timers, climate control, that sort of thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, and it charges to 80% in 40 minutes on the standard range. On the long range, sorry, Stuart, making you flick around. On the long range SE, it's basically exactly the same kit, but it's now a 64 kilowatt hour total size battery. It's about 61 kilowatt hours usable. 150 kilowatt motor, giving a 0-62 time of 7.9 seconds. It'll charge to 80% in 35 minutes. The rate that I was being told was that it would charge up to 130 kilowatts on CCS on the test that they've done in the UK.
Right.
And it has a 281-mile range with that 64 kilowatt hour battery. The only difference spec-wise over the standard range is that the long-range cars come with an active grille shutter system. So what this is basically on the front bumper of the vehicle, there are louvers which can be closed and opened by the vehicle to aid aerodynamics or to aid cooling, depending on which they need to do. So it will automatically open and close those as necessary. It doesn't need, there's no button to press for yourself or anything like that. You can't actively make it switch open these vents unless unless it requires the cooling. Things that might make it open are, for example, if you put the air conditioning to max and it required the airflow for that, it will open the grille. If the battery or the motor need additional cooling, it may open the grille. But a lot of the time it'll try and keep it closed, which should aid with increasing battery temperature in cold weather, because the radiator for this and the pipes and everything won't have cold air blowing on them constantly. And also that it will assist in warm weather by being able to open and therefore cool the car down. Okay. And if we move to the long range trophy, so this now gains a whole load of kit over and above the SE. To talk about pricing, sorry, the standard range SE is 25,995. The long range SE is 28,495, and the trophy long range is 31,495. So it's £3,000 extra to go for the trophy over the SE. So what do you get for that extra £3,000. Well, you lose a bit of range actually. So one of the things that you get is a fancy looking twin rear aero spoiler. It looks fantastic. Unfortunately, it spoils the efficiency of the vehicle and means that the range drops from 281 to 270 miles. Having said that, it also comes with quite a lot of extra kits. There's the extra stuff it's got. So it's got blind spot detection, lane change assist, rear cross traffic alert. So they're add-ons to the existing MG pilot system it already has. You get a two-tone roof, which is gloss black in all cases.
But no
Rear
glass.
No, there isn't a panoramic roof option on these models coming to the UK at the moment. We expect the panoramic roof to be made available probably on the forthcoming all-wheel drive models that are not due until middle of next year.
Okay.
You get privacy glass. So one thing that MG's been criticised for massively over the years, in the UK at least, is the lack of any sort of window tints on the glass. And then they fixed it with the MG5 facelift and the ZS EV facelift, and now on the MG4, they've not only got like tinted glass so that you don't get burned by the sun through the windscreen, but you actually have the option of privacy glass by going for the trophy. So if you want to look like a drugs dealer, you're okay. You've got tinted glass there. You've got, I think, twin rear aero spoiler, which I think looks really cool. A leather interior. Well, let's be honest, it's no cows have been injured in the making of this leather interior. It's leather look. You have an electric driver's seat. We have heated front seats and a heated steering wheel as well. It's the first time on MG in the UK. We have adjustable height, dual height boot floor. So on the SE, you effectively get the maximum boot space. It's all drop down to the bottom. On the trophy, you get a dual height. It's quite funky, this. So the boot floor actually has on the sides, it's got these like two wings which fold up at the sides. So when it's in the upper position, those wings fold out and it supports it. And then when you want it in the lower position, you fold those, you tuck those underneath out of the way, and then it drops down into the hole. So yeah, difficult to see on those photos, but yeah, it's.
So does that mean you get like a channel either side of the raised floor? So where those bits flop down to form little stand?
Yeah, I did have a photo that I took at the event. Good luck, Stuart, if you're trying to search for it. I don't know if I can. Where it showed the boot floor in the lower position. It's a bit dark. There, is that it? Show it there?
It's low.
Yeah, so that's in the lower position. So you can see there's a sort of recess all the way around it. It sort of fits in. It sort of folds under and then it fits into this recess. You've got a slight raised channel at either side there.
Yeah, so it's not, when it's at the higher position, it's not full width then.
When it's at the higher position, it is full width. When it's at a lower position, it's tucked in order to fit down into that lower section. I'll see if I can get some better photos.
Yeah.
And put them on the forum. It's difficult to explain. I'll need to do maybe a video clip of it, of how it folds. It was difficult because it's a sort of two-handed operation, and obviously I was holding the camera with one hand, so that wouldn't work. So other things it has a Bluetooth key, so you can actually use your app to open and close your car and to start it, so you don't need a key at all with you in the car, which again is a sort of Tesla-like feature. We have built-in navigation. So on the SE, you don't get any mapping software built into the car as standard. You just have to use your Android Auto, Apple CarPlay for navigation purposes.
Well, many people would think that was a real bonus, because otherwise they're paying money for a sat nav they never ever use.
I was going to say I've used the sat nav in the MG5 once. And that was because I forgot my charging cable for the car. I'd swapped cars and I forgot to transfer the USB cable, and so I had to use the navigation. And actually, I was pleasantly surprised it worked really well.
Yeah.
But I've never used it before. I've always used the Google Maps built into my Android. So yes, built-in navigation as a standalone trophy. You get 360-degree cameras. So as we've seen on the ZS EV. So you've got cameras front, rear, under each wing mirror. You get that wireless phone charger we mentioned. iSmart with live services, so that means that you can do things like find your car, send routes to the car, things that were included with the Trophy Connect version of the ZS EV. You've got 6-speaker audio system with 3D sound. So it's only 4 speakers in the SE, and it's 6 speakers in the Trophy, which is similar to how we've seen it on the ZS and the MG5. Auto dimming rear view mirror on the Trophy. Rear center light bar with pattern effects. So that's the really cool, well, I think, looking rear tailgate lights. Basically, between the 2 tail lights, you've got the sort of built-in spoiler at the edge of the tailgate. Go on, Stuart, see if you can find that photo. I've got a really good photo there somewhere.
Oh, sorry, I went through at one point.
There we go.
Yeah.
In the middle there somewhere. Oh, missed past it. That's it. So above the tail lights, we've got these sort of crisscross LEDs that set into this sort of glazed light bar that goes all the way across the tailgate as well. There's a photo on there. I think you skipped past it, Stu, of the going all the way across the boot. I think that looks really, really cool, and I was quite gutted that isn't on all models. I've got a photo a little bit later on, which you can sort of see it in that one. On the models that don't have, on the SE, they don't have this center light bar. So all you've got is the corner lights. You haven't got that light bar going all the way across the tailgate. That's quite a big stylistic difference.
Mm.
So you don't have the brake lights don't go along the edge either.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing you see on a concept car, isn't it? But when it gets production, it's been dropped.
Yeah, that's the photo. Yeah, so on the cars which are SE models, they don't have the bar of red LED going all the way across, separated by the MG logo, and they don't have the crisscrosses on top. They just effectively have black plastic in those areas. So you've really just got the sort of 3-cornered brake lights and indicators built on the actual corner of the vehicle. So I think that's quite a big, for me, style-wise, that and the rear spoiler are the things that really caught my eye as being really cool style features. And probably because I'm a bit of a tart, those are the sort of things that would push me towards a Trophy rather than SE. And you've got auto folding door mirrors on the Trophy as well. So yeah, so on those pictures there, in fact, I've got a slide coming which basically shows us the exact same thing. So on that picture that you see of all the cars lined up, this orange car is the Trophy, and in front of it we can see the SC. Well, in fact, to the side of it, the grey one to the left of it there is an SE. So the orange one you can obviously see very clearly the roof spoiler and the absence thereof on the Camden Gray to the left, and then that rear tailgate spoiler as well. You can see the lights running across on the orange one and not at all on the grey one. So it's a different shape, it's a different look, it's a different feel to the car. Do you need it? No. Is it worth paying an extra £3,000 for? You know the answer to that one better than me. I'd go for the Trophy, but I appreciate that other people might value £3,000 and what they can do with it a lot better than I can. So next slide, please. So colours. So the colours that are available in the UK, and this may be different in Europe, the colours that are available from launch in the UK. We have Arctic White, which is the solid white colour. We have Holborn Blue, which is a solid blue colour, very bright blue. I'm trying to think of something that it's the same colour as, and I'm coming up blank with a lot of things. It is a bright blue. It's kind of Smurf coloured, but it's called Holborn Blue, not Papa Smurf Blue. So
that is different to the ZS then.
Totally different colour to the ZS, yes. And it is, but both are free paint colour choices. So if you don't want to go for white, you can have the blue and not pay any extra for it. Then we've got the black pearl, which is a metallic, same black as we've got on the Modular at the top of our YouTube channel. It's also the same black that we'll find on the ZS EV, the MG5. It's a fairly common color from those. We then have Camden Gray, which is a new metallic gray color. And that's the color that I saw in the flesh on my visit to the dealer conference. And I thought that looked really smart, actually. It's like a really dark gun metallic. And I thought that looked really nice.
It's the one I've gone for.
Yeah. The dynamic red is the same dynamic red as we've got on the MG5 and the MG ZS EV. So that's tri-coat paint. And the Volcano Orange. Now, Volcano Orange is a tri-coat paint, similar application to the dynamic red. So it's quite a deep pearly finish on it. The orange so far has been our favorite pre-order color. It's only available on the trophy. So if you want an SE, you can't have the Volcano Orange. Volcano Orange is actually a color that was originally on the MGF about 15 years ago. So it's a color that MG has resurrected. Oh yeah, so somebody just put in the comment that the blue is more like you'd see on a Bugatti. Yes, that blue is quite similar to what you'd see on a Bugatti. It's not, yeah, let's not call it Smurf blue, which is actually Bugatti blue. Yes.
We have another
So yeah, the orange has been the most popular, and actually I've seen a couple of photos from somebody that sneaked some photos at an event recently, and the orange does look pretty fantastic. They're hoping that every dealer will get at least one orange trophy to use the demonstrator as a showroom car, so that they can show it off, so that people can see what what it looks like. Because it is one of those colours. Actually, it's got an iridescence to it, sort of yellowy, when under the sun and things like that. I quite like it. It's a bold choice. This is not the choice for people who, if you want to be shy and unassuming, like Barry, then go for the Camden Gray. That blends in quite nicely. But the orange is a bit like the Asbo orange that you used to have on the Focus ST. It's a real sort of loud, shouty colour.
Yeah, I was going to go for that one, but at the last moment I backed off because I'd had the dynamic red on the ZS. So.
Yeah. Next slide, please. Oh, and good evening to Mike Prince. You're watching my video. It's my that's the manager at Burnley MG where I work. Or as he'll say, I don't often work. The design differences. So at the front of the car, the SE has projector LED headlights, which have integrated LED daytime running lights and indicators built into them. The Trophy has projector LED headlamps with reflective technology. They're the ones you can see on the grey car there. So they've got like triple optic LEDs. And they have the daytime running lights in the front bumper, sort of running down as that blade you can see just on the illustration there. Now, I believe that MG's graphics on its website are computer generated models that they've basically forgotten to do a few things to. So on the SE image, which I've got there on the left, that's taken from MG's website, those aren't the correct headlights. They have different shaped headlights on the SE to what it shows on that picture. Likewise, the graphic shows a couple of indentations for front mounted parking sensors. They do not have them on the MG4 that we're getting in the UK. I don't know if it's available in China, but it's not coming to the UK with those. So the graphics are being updated as we speak because MG's realized that the web page graphics are wrong, because I've told them several times. So this is the front design. If you look at the next slide, please. At the back of the car, as we just talked about, so there's no, on the Trophy on the right hand side, you can see that split rear spoiler, the LEDs running across the tailgate, the black roof, and also black mirrors. Whereas on the SE, there's no roof spoiler, there's no LED light bar across the tailgate, and the body coloured roof and roof mirrors as well. Sorry, roof and door mirrors as well. Sorry. So the Trophy is effectively more sporty. I'm just noticing the comments here on the chat. Sorry, I'm just being slagged off here. Miles, they say you're never there. When I picked up your second-hand MG5 this week, we're enjoying it so far. David, glad you're enjoying my car. I definitely was there. I handed my car back, so you could have it. Mike, David, he's not. Yes, I am, Mike. I'm working. I've been working really hard this week, I promise. Mainly from home, I admit, but still. Next slide, please. Any more slides? Any more slides? There we go. Competitors. So I thought this was worth pointing out. So we've talked about the price of the MG5 and the price points it's at. This is sorry, answer to check us on the MG on the YouTube channel. There is no rear wiper on any of these vehicles. So there's no rear on all the tailgates there. You can see there's no rear wiper. Blame it on the aero, blame it on the boogie. I don't know, but it's there's
Probably
no
the
rear
aero.
wiper.
It's the aero is the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It costs you around about 5 miles.
There was no rear wiper on the I-Pace that my wife used on either. Dreambox, no, there's no rear wiper. Right, so it's always useful to compare competitors. So obviously MG is size-wise, it's very similar to the ID3. And because it's built on this new platform, it's quite easy for us to sort of compare it with the ID3 and put it in a similar sort of box. The ID3 is slightly smaller. It's an inch shorter, inch narrower, albeit 2 inches taller. If you're wearing a hat, it's okay. It's got similar performance, it's rear-wheel drive and similar levels of equipment as the SE. But the only option they currently offer in the UK starts at 36,195, which is best part of £10,200 more than the SE standard range MG, and it's still £7,500–8,000 more than the long range SE, and in fact it's still nearly sort of £5,000 more than the trophy long range.
And it's basic.
So it is basic. If anyone's sat inside an ID3, I feel really sorry for anyone that got one on a lease and just took it on price and didn't bother looking at one in the showroom, because if you've sat in a VW Golf recently and then you've got an ID3, you'll feel like somebody's robbed the interior, because the Golf's always been known as being quite a high-end sort of finish for a compact car, and the ID3 kind of feels like it was done by some YTS workers on a weekend with a bit of sticky back plastic and some fuzzy felt. It's a really, I feel for VW, I think it's a really low rent interior.
It looks like a mock-up and feels like a mock-up. I took one out on a test drive yesterday, and I was really, really underwhelmed by it.
So there's that. So it's way more expensive than the ID3, and arguably it's no bigger or anything like that. In fact, it's slightly smaller than the MG4. But it is a bespoke EV platform, at least, and demand has shown that people are willing to spend a lot of money and buy an awful lot of those ID3s. I see quite a lot of them around now. So in terms of, you know, the niche that MG is hoping to fill, this sort of B-sized hatchback with C-segment interior space is quite a hot one. If you compare again something at a similar sort of price point, the Renault Zoe, available from £32,000. That's a lot older design, recently scored 0 on the NCAP test, which is not ideal. And realistically, for what is quite an old car, it's quite expensive, certainly when you compare it against the entry-level MG4. So the things that make it less ideal is price, the space inside, because it's quite a lot smaller. It's a B-segment car with a B-segment interior, is Zoe. The amount of tech it's got on offer or not, and the NCAP rating, obviously a big problem there for Zoe. Peugeot E208 and Vauxhall Corsa E and the other Stellantis products like that. Well, the E208 starts at £30,000. The Corsa E is 28.5. It's not a bespoke EV because it's built on the same platform as the petrol models. There's only one battery option, which is 50 kilowatt hour, which is 45 kilowatt hour usable. It's got quite a small boot. And the price is higher, the range is less, and there's less space inside. So again, the MG4 is beating all of those really, which is a shame because we've got Vauxhall and Citroen dealers as part of our trolley group. And then the other competitors, it was of course people who are currently in Fiesta, Yaris, Polo, those B segment super minis who are wanting to make the transition to an EV. Those cars all cost sort of early 20s in terms of the price point. People are willing to spend a little bit more to get an EV. In fact, surveys suggest that they'll spend up to 20% more to get a EV product over a petrol version. So at 20 to 23,000 pounds, if they were having a car that's 20,000 pounds, they'd be willing to spend probably another 4 or 5 grand on that just to get an EV. That puts them right in the ballpark of the MG4. So realistically, I think that MG's onto a bit of a winner here. Camel's asked, what's the NCAP aim for MG4? The aim is 5 stars at NCAP, which is not easy to obtain these days, to be frank.
No, they're raising the bar, aren't they?
Yeah, it is designed to be a 5-star NCAP car.
Yeah.
And then I think the last slide, there was one more slide, I think, on that, just talking about supply and what they're likely to be. So MG are aiming to have 2,000 MG4 available in the UK before the end of the year. The split of what's coming across is set by China, and that's been set at 40% SE standard range. So that's a £26,000 version. 10% SE long range, and 50% for the trophy long range. Now, our current expectation, based on the orders we've taken, is 99% are going for the trophy long range of the people who are placing the orders early doors. And I think that's because those people who are placing these orders now have had EVs for a while. They're often part exchanging a car which has got quite a bit of equity in it.
Yeah.
And was a similar price to that or more when they bought it. So, the fact that the trophy is £31,000 or £31,500, it still sounds quite a bargain in their eyes for that specification. I do think there's going to be quite a large number of people who will take the SE standard range, possibly more your fleet market or your people looking for a cheap contract hire deal.
It's incredible good value that I think really the SC
at £26,000 it's outstanding. Yeah. So just to give you, to put it in perspective at the moment, if you want, because obviously the government grants have all gone now. If you're wanting a Fiat 500, that's £30,000 electric. Yeah. So a Fiat 500 electric is a much smaller vehicle than the MG4. A lot less practical, a lot, the range is small, everything. So I think for them to have that price point is pretty awesome. So that's sort of really it in terms of the presentation. Now, I've talked about the cars, talked about the range. A couple of things that came up on the forum, which I'll just mention. There isn't a rear middle headrest on the back seat, although one of the images that was shared on MG's own Twitter profile showed a headrest. That was a generated image from China, and the actual production model doesn't have the rear headrest. Don't ask me why, I don't know. There isn't a USB port in the center of the rear view mirror, in the rear view mirror like there is on the ZS and the MG5, I think. Pat, have you got a USB for a PowerPoint for a camera?
No.
On the center, on the rear view mirror,
No.
and the reversing mirror.
I know. I checked. Someone asked me about that, but we don't have it on the
not on the
USB.
MG5. It's on the ZS EV, but it's not on the MG4. No. In terms of boot size, those dimensions, I can't remember if I put them on the first slide that I done there. 365 litres, I think it is, and then 1100 and something with the seats down. It's a good sized boot. It's, I'd say, similar to
the Leaf.
Sort of getting on for the Leaf. Yeah, it feels sort of maybe Duke sized, maybe slightly bigger than the Nero. The Nero was quite a compact boot. I think it's bigger than that. It's a good sized boot. It's a good size. You certainly I could fit my dog in its crate in that boot, you know, so that would tick the box for me. It's not a small boot like you'd find on the Corsa. I'm just looking at the comments that are coming through just quickly. I'll look through YouTube, having a quick look. So, right, starting on at the top, Kirkman Baptiste. Hey, I've been watching you guys for a while and I have a question. I ordered a car, an MG ZS Trophy through Motability. I'm not sure about this car anymore. Can I change the car to an MG5 facelift? At the moment, the MG5 facelift isn't shown on Motability, so it's probably because the car's not coming until November. It might not go on Motability scheme until January. That then wouldn't come until probably March, April time. So I think if you wanted to change from a ZS Trophy to a MG5 facelift, you're probably going to be putting yourself back by quite a few months. But speak to your dealer; they'll be able to advise. Moving down. What trim spec level of people here interested in ordering? I'm thinking of Trophy because I want the 360 cameras and the heated seats. Most people that we've seen have ordered the Trophy. I feel that on the MG4, we are going to see, as I say, a lot of people going for the Trophy. I think that the split's probably about right. We may see initially more people wanting the Trophy, but I think that there will be quite a lot going for the SE standard range, as the value proposition is brilliant. Does the MG4? Sorry, say again.
We only will get the Trophy long range in Norway.
Ah, okay, yeah, makes sense. You've got a more affluent country than ours. It's fine.
Yeah.
What else we got on here? Does the MG4 use regen braking on auto cruise control? Yes, it does. So that's something the ZS doesn't do, and the MG5 does. The MG4 does it as well. So it uses regen. There are 4 levels of regen braking in the MG. Now, so in the MG4, it doesn't have those toggle switches like you have in the ZS and the MG5. Instead, it's all done through the infotainment system. So it's got 4 levels of regen. You've got 1, 2, 3, which are the same as they are in the MG5 pretty much. And then you've got auto. And the auto, it basically means that the car will sense how much regen to put on depending on the sort of driving that you're doing. I think it's going to use the forward collision detection to work out the distance of the car in front, a bit like the system on the Kia Niro.
That has the same as well.
Yeah, so I think it's going to work on that basis. So if it senses that you're getting close to the car in front, it'll put the braking on a little bit more with the regen. If it's plenty of space in front, then it will be obviously, you know, keeping you further, keeping it in a 1 position, should we say. Also on that center console is where you select your driving mode. So there are 5 driving modes: normal, sport, eco, custom, and snow. So on the snow mode, presumably it changes the traction control settings and things, but all of these are customizable. So actually what I believe you can do is, if you on sport, you can set the weight of the steering. So currently on the other models, when you choose eco, it makes the steering wheel light. When you choose normal, it firms it up a bit. When you put it on sport, it makes the steering a little bit firmer, as well as also changing your, you know, power and the air conditioning and things like that. On the new version, on this new MG4, all those things are customizable. So if you want it to be in effectively eco mode but with a bit stiffer steering, you can set that up. So you can tune these modes to be how you like them. Then there is a completely custom mode as well. So if you set things the way you want them to be, you can set it that. It will remember the last mode it was in as well. So if you were in sport mode, it'll remember that next time you get into the car. So you won't have to flick the switches like you would in the old cars. And you can also obviously then with the auto setting on the regen braking, because it's all done through a touch screen. Obviously, it's not the sort of thing you want to be playing with on the fly. But if you can sort of configure all these things when you're stationary, and then you just set it going, and that's you then for however long you want to drive for, or however many days you want to drive for, however long you want to go on. It's not something you have to play with each turn of the key. Not that you've got a key to turn in these cars, but anyway.
There's been a couple of questions I've noticed there about the steering wheel and the adjustability. Is it
Reach and brake?
tilt and reach? Yeah.
Yeah, reach and brake. Yeah.
Good.
Which is the same as the MG5, isn't it? What else have we got?
What's the fist?
Oh, a rough price for the all-wheel drive version due next year. I understand it's a long way off, but surely we can speculate. We can speculate, Chris. Yeah, let's speculate. I think
40.
the all-wheel drive. I think the all-wheel drive version with 450 horsepower is going to cost £40,000. I would be surprised if it comes in any less than that, because it's going to be a 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. It's going to have the tech on it. I think it would be a significant increase in price from the current long range. There is also talk of potentially of a slightly bigger battery wending its way through at that point as well. So that might push prices further northwards. With a 77 kilowatt hour battery mooted as an extended range. So, so if that comes off, then we're going to see, 77 kilowatt hour battery, all wheel drive. I think that's going to be, you're not going to get change from £40,000, I wouldn't have thought.
And we never know if it's on the MSP platform, since you can put the battery from 40 kilowatt hour to 150. That could be interesting as well. Yeah,
certainly. Yeah. And I think that there's talk. One of the things that's I haven't perhaps mentioned yet, but the wheelbase of the MG4, and you can see in that picture behind Pat and Barry, is that it's a long wheelbase. It's 2.8 meter wheelbase. It's only 15 millimeters less than the HS. So despite the fact that this car is obviously proportionally a lot shorter overall than the HS, the wheelbase is nigh on the same as an MGHS, which is one of the reasons why it's got such good interior space. And it also frees up plenty of room for big batteries to go in between the wheels. So, so that's one of the things we're looking forward to seeing when the cars come out. Mike Warwick Sanders. Hi, Mike. Loving my ZS EV from Chorley Group. Are there plans for vehicle to load working when the car is locked? Because leaving the car on and open causes some issues for the utility of the V2L. I agree, Mike, it does. I don't know of any plans, but I can put it forwards to Longbridge as a possible change that they can see if it's possible to make. I get why you'd want to leave it on. Obviously, if you're camping or whatever, you'd want to run your things overnight, but have the car secure so that it's not stolen. I totally understand that point of view. I'll find out. I don't know. At the moment, if you use the vehicle to load, you have to have the car switched on in ready mode, basically, to use vehicle to load. And you can't lock the doors whilst it's on. So, I'll ask that question, Mike. It's a good question. Good point.
I imagine that with once you've locked the car, you can't have it in ready mode, just sitting there locked, can you? Because you need it in ready mode to keep the the electrics alive.
Not with the new system, with it having the auto on when you get in, close the doors and things like that, it would be awkward. So I'll see if I can find out. Quick look at another note. Can anyone confirm if there's an armrest in the back? There isn't. Only the trophy model have the double floor in the boot? Yes, only the trophy model has the double floor. When will it become available on Motability? Probably not any time this side of Christmas, I would have thought. They'll wait until there's plenty of stock before they start offering it to the fleets like Motability. Beaker Bailey says, Miles, if I've placed a pre-order with your Burnley branch, do I need to check whether that's been ordered? No, Mike is on here and that's ordered. He's ordered all the cars today. Our dealer said today, Professor Reese says, our dealer said today our MG4 is expected at the end of September, which would be perfect. I believe that the first deliveries are expected at the end of September. There's about 1,000 cars on the water due into port any day now. Hopefully the first delivery will be the end of September. Hopefully, Professor E, your car will be one of the first ones. If it's an orange trophy, it sounds like there might be a bit of a bun fight because we've got quite a lot of people that want that as well. Dreambox says, I wish they kept the Mulan name for international customers. Do you mean the name, or do you mean the green one with the fancy wheels? Because that would be the all-wheel drive performance model next year. In Germany, we have to pay €1,000 extra to get delivery this year. God, that's a delivery fee, isn't it? Extra £1,000 just to get it this year. Should have thought that one, Mike. Put that in the notebook. Do these have the matrix type headlamps on the trophy model? They are what described as LED reflector type. They look funky. I don't know if the matrix LEDs. Sometimes we don't really know what the spec is actually in the UK until the Chinese have censored the thing. We go, oh, that's what they meant when they put that, because their Chinese to English translation sometimes doesn't give us the full description of what it would be, what we'd call them in the UK. So I don't know if the matrix type headlights, they've described them as LED reflectors. How long is the lead or adapter on the vehicle to load? I'm not sure. I haven't got one to measure. I'll see if I can get hold of one. Wireless Android Auto, no, it's cabled. We've answered that one. Did I hear correctly? No parking camera on the standard range. No parking camera on the SE at all, to be fair. So standard range or long range SE do not have a parking camera. You've got to go for a trophy and then you get 4 of them. No rear wiper. Agreed to confirm that. Yeah. What's the resolution of the reversing camera screen? I don't know. I have not a clue what the resolution is. It's on that 10.25-inch display. It looked quite pretty. It looked nice. I don't know until I sit in one, and I'm not going to count the pixels myself. I'll ask somebody. Reach and rake on the steering wheel. Yes, it is. Any other questions you think I've missed there? Can't see. Someone's got a
think about the wheels. The question about the wheels. Yeah.
Question about wheels.
Yeah, there's one option, isn't there? Just the 17-inch with the aero covers. You can take the covers off, I guess, but I had no idea what the wheel looks like underneath.
Yeah, the wheels designed to. Well, the wheels look really nice in practice. The 215 5017 are the tires on an extra load rating. It's a good looking wheel. It works. It cuts through the air. The ones that are on the green car that we've seen on some of the Chinese press imagery, that's the performance model. They look like 18s to me. And it's also got some nice fancy red calipers and so on, which, to be fair,
the same I have on the MG5, same wheels.
Yeah, if it's got 450 horsepower and it does 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, you'd want it to have some bigger brakes as well, wouldn't you, really? So maybe we'll see it. Maybe this will be the return of the 4-pot calipers and things that we used to see on the MGs of old. Someone's asked about finance options. We haven't got any finance pricing available as yet. We're waiting for Cap to give us the figures for that, for the residuals.
I think there's something there about charging cables. I think in the forum we were talking about there's a
granny leads included as standard.
Yeah, but not a Type 2.
Granny cables included as standard, but not the Type 2. The Type 2 is a dealer fit accessory, so to speak. There's no heat pump on the car. If that makes a difference to you, it doesn't really. With these heat pumps, matter less and less these days. I think with big batteries, they don't matter in our climate, at least, because it's either because usually usually when it's cold in winter in the UK, it's using the PTC heater anyway to supplement it. So, have you got some thoughts on heat pumps?
In the trophy LR that comes in Norway, on the specification we got, it says that there will be heat pump on the car.
Well, I've asked the question and apparently it's not, but whether it's a different spec in UK and Norway, I don't know. But yeah, I've been told it's not.
We'll see when it comes. We'll see when it comes. We never know.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there's no trunk as well on this car. Just to clarify, because some people asked whether there was any space under the front, under the bonnet. No, they basically used every little inch of that fairly short bonnet to move all the components that would normally be under the dashboard. They've shifted them, so all the heater matrix and all that sort of stuff has gone under the bonnet. So when you open the bonnet, there's not really an awful lot of space there for a frunk. But I kind of get that, because we've had a frunk on the I-Pace, we've had a frunk on the, and we've got a frunk on the XC40. We never use it because it's generally a less convenient place to put things than having them in the back.
Yes, someone asked me if I had a frunk on the MG5. So I said, I mean, why would I need a frunk? It's a station wagon, so I have not enough space. So
that's it. Yeah, it's just, yeah. I don't get I mean,
okay.
When you had a Tesla Model S and it had, quite a large front space, on the rear-wheel drive models, and you could crawl inside the bonnet of it. Fair enough. Use that space, but use it as storage. Fair enough. But when you're getting to smaller vehicles, and particularly when they've been ground up designed as an EV, you don't need you put the components in there and give yourself more interior space. I would much rather I had an extra few inches of room rather than having some spare room that I could chuck a cable if I wanted to. I just don't get it. And I say it's not like the sort of, powered tailgate opening, hood opening like you've got on a Tesla, it makes it a little bit more convenient to get in there. You still got to pull the bonnet latch, fiddle with the thing under the bonnet to get it lifted up. It's not convenient. So, and
it's got all the muck on it in the winter from everything that's been thrown up onto the hood. And,
not bothered, yeah. Let's have a quick look. Somebody said, does it have rear USB socket? It's in a rear passenger light. It has a rear USB socket in the back of the center console, a single USB socket. There is no rear passenger light, unlike the MG5 facelift, which does have passenger lights in the rear. However, they are LED, so it does have a better illumination inside than the ZS. Are there any lights in the boot? Yes, there is a LED boot light to the left-hand side of the boot. That should be visible in one of the photos. Does the surround camera system record? No, it doesn't. It's a 360-degree camera that's mainly aimed at the floor rather than as a dash cam. When will car reviewers get hold of an MG4? They will get hold of one next week. So next week is the press launch week. They're getting the cars, they'll drive them. So I'd imagine within the next week or so, probably by the start of September, we should see YouTube blowing up with all these videos. Unfortunately, MG didn't invite me to the press launch this time. They said they had too many proper reporters going to go see. I know, sod them.
There is an MG4 driving around across Europe that has already done 120,000 kilometers. So I'm just expecting to say when it comes through Norway.
Yes.
And Miles, does it have a voice assist like on the ZS EV facelift?
It does. It does have voice recognition, yeah. It has voice recognition that'll do various things to navigation and phone calls. And
it doesn't have on the MG5 though.
Yeah, it has them on the like it has on the ZS though, yeah.
Is that in the system, or does it really rely on the?
No, it's built into the system, and it also on the trophy it comes with things like Amazon Music, like you get on the ZS as well.
Right. So it's not relying on the Android Auto or
no, it's
Carplay.
using the system that's built into the car. Yeah. Can I confirm the position of the charge port? Is it left rear as per Tesla? Yes, it is.
That's useful.
Can therefore be used at newly opened Tesla supercharger stations. Yes, it can. What brand are the tires? I can't remember. I might have a photo somewhere. I'll have a quick look. How do I pre-order? Thank you for asking J Smith 6298. That gives me a perfect opportunity to say, speak to Chorley Group in Burnley MG and Chorley MG.
Continental.
Burnley MG. In fact, Michael probably pounced on you already on this forum, but if you want to call in the UK at 01282 434300, you can leave a deposit, a £99 deposit, fully refundable. Leave it over the phone. There we go. That's my Oh, Continental tyres it was. Okay, yeah. Continental was on the car that I saw. Whether they'll be the same when they come to the UK on the boat, I don't know. I presume so. So Continental tyres. Not Ling Longs or anything like that. Oh yeah, on that picture of the charging
lighting.
flap actually there as well. That's really good. So that shows, so it's illuminated as the charger, and it's got these 4 segments. So this car was 80% charged. So that's why you've got 3 segments illuminated. And obviously so as it gets more charged, all 4 will glow. So you've got your type 2, and then you see this. In the UK, it's 7 kilowatt charging, and then up to 130 kilowatt on CCS. In Europe, I believe they're offering 11 kilowatt 3-phase charging, because you guys get your extra couple of cables and your home electrics that we don't have.
Exactly.
And so on that cover, Miles, over the Type 2, is it flipped up? I can't quite see within the photograph.
Yeah, so it's like a petrol flap. So you push it in, and it springs out to the left-hand side there.
Right. And but the actual the socket, is it because there's a rubber bung over the? It looks like a rubber bung over the DC.
Rubber bung over the DC pins. There's no cover at all over the Type 2.
Right. So it relies on the seal around the flap.
Yeah, effectively. But which, of course, with it being sideways on and located where it is going to generally get less detritus than when it was right on the front.
Sure.
I can confirm that the seal works quite well. I mean, on the MG5, I drove in the rain and everything, and when I opened the port, everything was dry. And I mean, the port is in the front, so you get everything coming in. So you can trust the seal, no problem.
Cool. Ross has asked, are any of the Regen modes giving true one-pedal driving? No, it won't bring you to complete stop on Regen. The mode 3 of the Regen, or level 3, and the auto modes, they will bring you to a sort of walking pace, but they won't stop you completely. Does lane assist stay off if turned off, if not in auto cruise control? Werner, I don't know. I haven't actually physically driven this car yet. I've just sat at it. They wouldn't let me drive it anywhere. There was 250 of us there in one car, so it would have taken a while for us to all have a little drive. Is MG Pilot on separate stalk like the other MG cars? I believe so. I can't remember any differently, but I will claim ignorance until I've had a chance to check it again for you, Chris. Paul David says, Miles, how is drive leg room compared to the MG5? I've got long legs. I mean, it's difficult. It's subjective, because everyone, I say, well, I've got no problem at all, but then you come along and Paul, you might say you're 7'3". So I think for most people that aren't circus tall, the leg room is excellent. And there was plenty of room, even if you are particularly long-legged. Christoph, right, I'm gonna have a look, miss some things out from Christoph. I haven't seen any. Oh, there we go. What's the boot size in terms of liters? Does it have a tilt function for the driver's seat? And is the seat better suited for people with long legs? Christoph, I apologize for missing it. I literally did skip straight through these. Boot size in liters is on one of the slides I've provided. I think it's 300, it's on MG's website as well.
Yeah.
One sec. Let me load up my file to save Stuart having to do so.
I think it's about 18% of the volume with the seats up of you find in the ZS, but when the seats are down, it's pretty much the same as the ZS.
Yeah, 1 second.
1100 something, if I remember rightly.
It's not in that. I just looked at that document. No. You're right. I didn't put it in there. My fault. I apologize profusely. It was something I was meant to put in. Dimensions, boot capacity, seats up 363 litres. That's with the boot in the lowest position and or SE where it doesn't have an option. And the boot capacity with the seats folded is 1,177 litres. So if transporting bottles of water is your thing, that's the literage. Don't ask me what that is in real dimensions. I haven't actually got them. Does it have a tilt function for the driver's seat? It has the up-down function, which sort of tilts the seat, but not a separate. You can't lift the front bolster, I don't think. No. Is the seat better suited for people on legs? Christoph, I referred back to my previous statement. You're gonna have to try it. I don't know. And until you try it, people are different lengths. I feel I've got quite long legs for my relatively short height, and I tend to have the seat quite a long way back. And there's quite a decent leg room for me. But by all means, try it. Can we order left-hand drive cars in the UK? No, we only get supplied right-hand drive cars. Is there a possibility that the MG4 could be available before the already ordered in December last year for me ZS to arrive? Tom, depends who you ordered with, mate. If you place an order through a broker such as Vanarama, etc., their orders have been held back in preference for privately owned vehicles that were ordered direct through dealers, to be perfectly honest. Tom, you ordered it from Ollie at Chorley? In which case, I'll give Ollie at Chorley a kick and say, where's his car? They should be coming through shortly. That we've seen, if Mike wants to comment on this, we can. We've seen quite a few cars that have been on order for a long time, like November, December last year, start turning up in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, so they are coming through these cars. There is a possibility the MG4 could arrive before the ZS EV. ZS EV, notorious. We've spoken about this a lot on the group here about. Tom, if you want to copy me into those emails, I'll chase it as well, please, mate. miles.roberts@chorleygroup.co.uk. So, where's my Zoom gone now? 1 second. I've minimized, right. So the what was I going to say now about the height and stuff? Oh God, questions still coming in. Sorry,
long week.
Oh yeah. So delivery times. The last slide on the thing was saying that they're hoping to have 20,000 of these MG4s available in 2023, which is a huge number. And it just shows what MG's aspirations for growth in the UK are, because 2 years ago it sold 20,000 cars the entire year, of all the cars it sold. Now they've sent an email recently giving us some updates on delivery time. So the MG5 is now on a 16-week delivery schedule, so about sort of 4 months. The MG HS PHEV is on a 12-week schedule. The MG ZS EV is on a 30-week schedule, so about 9 months delivery time, which is why it's taken so long for these cars to come. And we've explained why hundreds of times on this. It's basically not enough chips and bits to make the cars. Yes, it has ISOFIX in both rear seats. Richard, sorry, I'm just seeing the emails come through. Right, I think, have we gone through almost every question? It's 9 o'clock. Guys, I need to get some feedback from you guys. Barry, you've put a deposit down on one of these.
I have. And that's
you feel positive about it?
I do. I'm really looking forward to giving it a whirl. And I checked out the ID3 yesterday, and I basically, pretty basic spec came out at, I think, drive away at 38,000 something, but I have to wait 12 months. Right. And it didn't have a reversing camera, by the way, guys. I saw the thing on there, no reversing camera. So, but when you engage reverse, you got a lovely picture of the car. You got these zones showing where the sensors were, but weren't in relation to anything. It was, well, I might as well shut my eyes and try and reverse and wait for the crunch. And with the 3 headrests on the back, there was virtually no view out the back window. So I beggars belief. And it was, people talk on the reviews, talk about scratchy. It was more like a toy drum. The plastic, the thin rattly plastic between the instrument binnacle and the screen was horrible. The only thing for it, it had a lumbar support, and that was nice. And I tried the voice commands and it didn't get a single thing. I said Church Road, Southend, and it said Southampton. And no, it was dreadful. I couldn't get out there quick enough.
And so, what, having test driven the ID3, that's when you
I came back and put an order in on an MG4.
And Pat, what do you think about? Obviously, you've literally just bought an MG5, but what do you think about the MG4 yourself?
I'm quite thrilled to see how it will be, because that would be a big competition here in Norway. With I was more thinking of the Nissan Leaf actually, because if you think the battery on the Leaf is 59 kilowatt, the new one, you have 50 kilometers less range, and the price is a little bit higher for the Leaf. Again, we can put it in the same basket as all the others. So it will be, I think it will be a big hit. And I like the orange as well. I mean, I saw the picture, it just exploded outside. And we call it actually fizzy orange in Norway.
Fizzy orange.
It comes in 7 colors.
Fanta.
And the blue is called Brighton blue. Don't ask me why, but it's has something to do with Brighton.
Okay.
What other color do you have then? You got an extra color that we don't have.
So we have pebble back, we have diamond red, and again the diamond red, it will be with the black finish. You have the Dover white, you have the Brighton blue, you have the Andes gray, and you have the metal silver, and the fizzy orange.
You've got silver, then, but we don't have the silver.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's the one. And in interior, we have two choice of interior, either black or the 2-color gray and white, like I have in the MG5.
We only have the one choice with interior, so we just have the black interior.
Yeah.
Shame, because I think a lot of people in the UK would be open to the lighter colour interior. Maybe they might offer that as an option next year, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good choice for an EV in the summer to have a light interior. So I don't regret my choice.
Right. Well, I hope everyone online has had a very informative evening, but I think that Miles looks as if he wants to go and take a little bit of refreshment. He must have been talking all day long.
Yeah, it turns out red wine isn't that refreshing when you're drinking it.
No,
really
no.
Next time. Yeah, quench your thirst. Red wine, it doesn't. It's not the way.
No, it's not. Definitely not. It dries the mouth a little bit, but. Yeah. Okay. So just as we wrap up, and before we go, I'd just like to remind you that other cars are also available on the forum, and apart from the list of MGs up there, and the Aura electric cars and the Aura Cat, which will be coming to the UK soon, hopefully, will broaden the range of EVs available for us to expand our move away from fossil fuels. So go over and sign up on the auraevs.com, which is our sister forum. And so that's all for this week's podcast. I know it's on a different day, but I'm glad to see so many people there online. And it's a big thank you from me, and thanks to Miles for his input.
Very welcome. Thanks, guys.
And also for Patrick for joining us and giving that European perspective. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay. And we'll be back with another MG EV podcast soon. And if you found the podcast useful, tell your friends. Please click on the like button and also subscribe, and you'll get notified the next time we go live, which is particularly useful if we change the day at the last minute, or as we have done today, to pick up a big news story. And so once again, thanks very much, Miles, for putting so much into this evening. And I'm sure we're all eager to see the MG4 on the roads and be behind the wheel. Thank you.
It's going to be a few weeks until our next video, because I think that Stuart's having a well-earned break.
Yes.
So if anyone's got any questions about the MG4 or any of the MG vehicles, please ask the way on the MGV's forum and tag me in them if I don't reply quickly.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Miles.
Same here.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, everybody, once again, and good night.